Chicago's night wind pushed hard against the glass walls of Belmore Tower as Nathan Cole stepped through the rotating doors, the only living soul entering a building that seemed to exhale cold air. The posted shift had been ignored for 16 days, and now he understood why. The lobby lights flickered as if reacting to him. On his first round, the elevator beside him chimed even though no one had called it. The doors slid open to an empty car. A voice from behind startled him. "You shouldn't be here, man." A janitor, pale under the fluorescent lights, kept his eyes fixed on the elevator. Night guards quit because they hear things. Machines. Doing things they shouldn't. Nathan's pulse tightened, but he stepped forward anyway. He needed the paycheck, and more than that. He needed to keep his promise to the little girl asleep back home. Somewhere above floor 50, something waited. Something every worker before him refused to face. And before dawn, it would bring a billionaire to his front door. If this opening grips you, like the video and subscribe to Canada's Heartfelt Tales for more powerful, unforgettable stories. Nathan stepped into the service elevator, its metal walls shivering each time the cables shifted overhead. The doors closed with a dull thud that echoed through the hollow shaft. His hand tightened around the flashlight as the floor numbers blinked upward, pausing for a second at 50 before jerking to life again. The janitor's warning replayed in his mind, but so did Lily's sleepy voice from earlier that evening, telling him she hoped his new job was safe. He took a breath as the elevator stopped on 51. The hallway outside was dim, lit only by emergency strips along the baseboards, their pale glow pulsing like a slow heartbeat. Something mechanical rattled in the distance. Nathan stepped out and scanned the corridor. A maintenance door at the far end stood slightly open. He approached it cautiously, nudging it with his boot. Inside, a red warning light flickered above a pressure gauge drooping far below the safe zone. The air smelled faintly of overheated metal. A clipboard hung from a hook beside the gauge, and when Nathan flipped through the logs, he saw signature after signature certifying normal readings. Not one matched the needle he was staring at now. A sudden clang echoed from behind him. Nathan spun, flashlight raised. A security supervisor he hadn't met before, Stockton according to his badge, stood in the doorway with crossed arms. His expression carried that mix of irritation and condescension Nathan had seen at too many night jobs. "You don't touch that," Stockton said. "Night guards don't inspect equipment." "It's failing," Nathan replied, keeping his voice steady. "Someone falsified these logs." Stockton stepped closer, jaw tightening. "I said don't touch it. Your job is to walk the floors, sign the rounds, and keep quiet. You open your mouth about this, you won't have a job tomorrow." "So that's why the last guards left?" Nathan asked. "They saw this and you told them to ignore it." For a moment, Stockton's expression cracked. Only a flicker, but enough. "Go back to the lobby," he said. "Now." Nathan didn't move. Stockton stepped forward until they were nearly nose to nose. "If you cause trouble here, I promise you'll regret it. People like you don't get second chances." Nathan stared at him, feeling anger coil inside. Not explosive but sharp and cold. Stockton didn't know about the hospital bills. The nights he'd carried his wife from the bathroom when she was too weak to walk. The months after she died when he didn't recognize himself in the mirror. "People like you." Nathan backed away, but not in surrender. In decision. He turned, documented the gauge, logged the numbers, and took one last photo of Stockton standing in the doorway, caught off guard by the flash. Then Nathan walked out without another word. As he continued upward, the building grew stranger. Some doors were blocked with cleaning carts positioned deliberately to hide access panels. A stairwell smelled of burnt wiring. Another gauge on the 56th floor showed pressure falling even lower. Still, the logs beside it claimed inspections every 2 days. Nathan recorded everything. Near 4 a.m., he reached a mechanical hub on the uppermost floors. The room groaned with the deep vibration of water lines under strain. A single bulb overhead flickered, swinging slightly from the vibration. In the center of the room sat the main valve panel, the heart of the suppression system. Its alarm light glowed a sickly amber. If a fire broke out anywhere above floor 50, people would likely die before the first responders even understood the scale of the failure. Nathan pulled out his radio. Static. He tried again. Nothing. Faint voice came from the doorway. You don't know when to quit, do you? Stockton stood there again, holding a clipboard. His voice had shifted from annoyance to something colder. You're going to sign off on the rounds, mark everything normal and go home. That's how this works. No, Nathan said simply. You think anyone cares what you find? You're temp. You'll be gone next week. This building doesn't run on your conscience. It should, Nathan said. This time Stockton stepped fully into the room. You want to know the truth. The repairs cost money, big money. Management says delay them until next quarter. Delay them until the audits are over. Delay them until someone higher up feels generous. My job is to keep things quiet so no one asks questions. And what happens when it fails? You think the people who sign your paycheck will protect you? Stockton's silence told Nathan he already knew the answer. Nathan pushed past him and walked to the fire control terminal, keying in the override code printed on the wall. Stockton grabbed his arm. For a second, the two men stood locked in stillness, the humming pipes beneath them groaning like a warning. You pull that switch, Stockton whispered, and you take the fall. Not me. Not anyone else. They'll blame you and they'll bury you. Nathan didn't raise his voice. I have a daughter, and I want her to grow up believing her father did the right thing. He pulled the lever. A low chime rolled through the building, the level 2 alert sent straight to city regulators. Stockton staggered back as if struck. You idiot, he hissed. You have no idea what you've done. Nathan left him there, trembling under the flickering light. As dawn neared, Nathan finished his remaining rounds. The building felt different now, not less dangerous but more honest, as if exposing the truth had cracked open its polished shell. He signed out quietly, took the train home, and greeted Lily with a smile that came from somewhere deeper than exhaustion. Hours later, Stockton stormed into the executive offices, demanding to speak with Victoria Ashford. He never got the chance. The city's fire marshal team was already in the lobby, demanding access to the mechanical floors. A full building audit had been triggered, and every falsified log, every signature, was traced back to Stockton and the maintenance company he had partnered with for under-the-table bonuses. Victoria watched the footage herself. Stockton threatening Nathan, Stockton ignoring failing gauges, Stockton instructing staff to mark defective panels as functional. She didn't yell, she didn't need to. When she entered the conference room, Stockton tried to defend himself. This isn't my fault, he sputtered. That guard, he overreacted. Victoria set a folder on the table. He saved my life, she said quietly. And the lives of thousands of people. You nearly cost us everything. Security escorted Stockton out of the building as he shouted that none of this was fair. But it was fair, finally. Meanwhile, Victoria studied Nathan's report, every piece of evidence, every photo. Her expression changed the more she read. Responsibility tightened around her like a cloak she had forgotten she was supposed to wear. She saw in Nathan not a problem, but a mirror, reflecting everything her system had failed to catch. By the time she arrived at Nathan's apartment, she knew exactly what she would offer him. 3 weeks later, Nathan stood in a new role, overseeing a safety overhaul across Victoria's entire real estate network. His voice carried weight now, not because he demanded it, but because he had earned it with integrity that couldn't be bought. Stockton, meanwhile, faced charges for falsifying safety records and obstructing city inspectors. The maintenance company collapsed under investigation. A lawsuit from tenants followed soon after. The man who once acted like he could bury the truth found himself buried by it. The night Nathan learned the final verdict, he and Lily watched the sunset from their new apartment. The light reflected against the buildings like a soft promise. "Daddy," Lily said, leaning against him, "is your job better now?" Nathan smiled at the city below. "Yeah," he said, "a lot better." And that mean man, the one who tried to stop you? He won't be hurting anyone anymore. Lily nodded as though justice made perfect sense. For Nathan it finally did. Belmore Tower stood straighter now, not because its structure had changed, but because someone had finally cared enough to see what was broken. And somewhere inside its upper floors, rumor had it that the new safety chief, Nathan Cole, the night guard no one noticed, walked the halls with a calm certainty that unsettled anyone who ever thought they could hide the truth. Because now they all knew. Nathan would always look. And he would never back down. And the story was only beginning. When the final reports were filed and the last pieces of truth settled into place, Nathan found himself walking through Belmore Tower again. This time not as the man no one noticed, but as someone whose presence mattered. The building felt different now. Brighter. Honest. And he carried that change quietly. The way people do when they've survived something that could have ended far worse. Late one afternoon, as he stepped out onto the plaza, Victoria caught up with him. There was no formality in her voice, only a calm sincerity. "You didn't just fix a system," she said. "You shifted the way we see this place." Nathan didn't answer right away. He watched Lily chase a paper airplane near the fountain, her laughter rising through the city noise. That sound had guided every choice he'd made. "I just couldn't pretend nothing was wrong," he finally said. "Not anymore." Victoria nodded, understanding more than he expected. The world around them moved on. Taxis, buses, crowds. But the moment stayed still, as if acknowledging how far they had come from that uneasy night. And as Lily ran toward him, waving the plane she'd folded herself, Nathan realized the truth he'd earned. Sometimes one act of courage doesn't just repair a failing tower, it rebuilds a life. If this story touched you, please like, share, and help Canada's Heartfelt Tales grow by subscribing to the channel.